TNA Wrestling crossed that line again as Impact Wrestling rolls on to Unbreakable in just 2 weeks' time. And then 10 days after Unbreakable, present Rebellion. And there is some big matches have been made for that as well. Looking forward to chatting with you all that and more on the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. And near enough, straight after this show, I will be sitting down with someone from TNA I have wanted to interview for a long time. He is someone who I wax lyrical about week in, week out on the show. I'll be sitting down with the youngest in charge, Leon Slater, to talk all things TNA after this. You will see that next week on the show. Please do not forget to check that out. Impact Wrestling this week, though, started. Well, Joe Hendry joined the commentary table, shall I say, first things first, as Elijah took on Frankie Kazarian in the opening contest of TNA this week. Another great opener for us. And the finish of the match saw Kazarian catch Elijah with the rolling cradle after a little bit of miscommunication with Joe Hendry, who decided he was going to get involved in the match, and he scored the pinfall victory. Now, there is a bit of a concern after this because after the match, Joe Hendry did indeed attack Kazarian. Security did try to separate the two men. Elijah did pull Joe Hendry off of Kazarian during this moment, and it seems as though Joe Hendry injured his shoulder in the process. So we need to find out about the logistics of this. As far as I'm aware, he's still meant to be defending the championship in this. You know, coming up at I think also Unbreakable and Rebellion as well. But they may be just teasing the injury of this, but a really decent opener for the show. The doctors were checking on Joe Hendry's shoulder at the back, and they did insist that he go to the hospital to get himself checked out. So hopefully, uh, Joe Hendry isn't seriously injured and it doesn't jeopardize the match. That's for sure. But we will see. Chaotic start to Impact Wrestling this particular week. But now there's been problems within the system for some time, and they're looking as if they were going to be doing a firing this week on TNA. And Eddie Edwards has brung all the system to the ring, and that teases one of them would be eliminated for the group. And he goes through each and every member, and they all insist that they want to stay within the system. But he finishes up with Moose, and before anything can happen there, Cody Deaner comes to the ring to instigate things and convince Moose to leave the group. Well, as you can probably imagine, that went down like a fart at a funeral. And the Moose, and well, not just the Moose, but the system annihilated Cody Deaner. Why, oh, why would you bring yourself to do something like that? Cody Deaner, what were you thinking at that point? But you know what? The system still works. It looks like none of them will be leaving the group anytime soon. It was interesting, though, how Cody Deaner did try to prize Moose away from the system. That could be something to look out for in the future. We'll get into a big match that Moose has been put into at Rebellion very soon, and that does involve actually Leon Slater as well. But backstage, Gia Miller was with Masha Slamovich, Zaya Brookside, and Leia Ling Yi, and getting better at that, guys, which is good. They did hype their match with Tessa Blanchard, JC Jane, and Jasmine Nix, which was coming up later on in the show. Tessa Blanchard, though, we'll get onto that in a minute with Tessa and that, because there's been a big match made for Rebellion, and there's a question was whether the match is too early to happen. We'll get into that though in a little while. But I did mention that there was going to be a big match involving the X Division Championship at Rebellion, which will involve my guest that I'll be speaking to a little bit later on this evening, Leon Slater. He is in the Ultimate X match against Moose, as is the King of the Death match, Matt Cardona. Now, Santino Morello did announce that on Impact, but the huge one that has come in for the Ultimate X match at Rebellion is someone who was meant to be in TNA last year, got injured, didn't quite get the match that he wanted. That is El Vikingo returns to TNA at Rebellion in the X Division Ultimate X match for the championship. That is going to be crazy. Absolutely crazy. Can't wait to talk to Leon about that, amongst other things as well. And don't forget to check that interview out in the playlist section next week. It will be there. We will make sure you're all told when that is out. But also, let me to take this moment to thank every single one of you that have downloaded and subscribed to the TNA Plus app. Reports have come out this week that subscribers have doubled since this time last year. So everyone that has done it, thank you so much. Continue to do it. Those of you that haven't, why? Initially, and secondly, please make sure you download that TNA Plus app, get it subscribed. I still think they're doing the offer on the championship subscription right now. Get that. You can see Impact Wrestling. You can see all the pay-per-views, the PLEs, whatever you want to call them. And you get access to the Impact Wrestling Vault, where you can watch your Impact Wrestlings of yesteryear and some of the legends of this business, including AJ Styles and Samoa Joe. But right now, we're talking about the now, and we're talking about NXT, and the partnership that NXT have had with TNA continues to shine this week on TNA as well. We're going to see more of it a bit later on, but right now it was Knockouts tag team action with the former Knockouts champion Spitfire against Lash Legend. That's easy for me to say, and Jakara Jackson. Jesus, what I tell you what, when you want to look at women that have that aura about them, Lash Legend, Jakara Jackson certainly have that in abundance, and they did end up picking up the victory on Jody Fret when they hit the MKO and scored the pinfall victory for this. And this was a solid tag team match. And I tell you what, the one thing that we're going to get out of this partnership is we're going to see people shine. New people are going to go to WWE and shine. People are going to come to TNA, sorry, and shine. JC Jane has been an example of that recently. But I tell you what, Lash Legends and Jakara Jackson, massive improvement on what you've seen of those from recent years. They have really come on in abundance, and you're seeing it on NXT. You're now seeing it in TNA, and it was nice for them to get a bit of a shine in TNA and get a big victory over the former Knockouts champions. I mean, they're going to want an opportunity to go after that Knockouts Tag Team Championships. That's for sure. I think they could be dark horses for that. I'm sure JC Jane and Jasmine Nix will be wanting it. I'm sure Gigi Dolan and Taxman Paisley may want a piece of that action as well. But nevertheless, right now, that division in TNA is absolutely stacked to hell if you include the NXT ones in there as well. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Solid tag match, and I loved it. Thought it was great. Now, Mike Santana and his friend Derek, okay, they run into Santino backstage, and Santana said, look, thanks for giving Derek a spot with the company after being sober for 3 months. Not quite sure how that's going to end up. Will Mustafa Ali spike him? I'm not too sure. I feel as if something's going to go horribly wrong with Derek in this. And I do think Ali and his group and his team, or whatever you want to call them, are going to have something to do with the fact that Derek may not. Oh, sorry, as my microphone drops, everybody. As Derek's sobriety, I just don't think it's going to last long in this, and I think Ali is going to have something to do with it. But we'll see. We will certainly see. Now, going into Rebellion, that brings us to the Hardy Boys. Now, those of you that know, and those of you that watch TNA will know, Ryan and Nick Nemeth attacked the Hardy Boys, or attacked Matt more than anything else, after that grueling cage match, that 10-man tag team cage match that they had, and Matt was all scarred up. They left him laying in a pool of his own blood And obviously, look, he said he went home. Matt was like, he went home, he saw his kids. The kids were scared of him, and it scarred him. And they said that hurt him more than anything that Ryan and Nick could do to him physically. And he did say that the scar on his nose will become a symbol of pain and fear in his children's eyes. He does tease a little bit that he was going to be broken once again, and says an MS must be deleted. And Jeff gets the mic. Look, the bottom line with this, the great hands come out and said it's not 1999 anymore. He said in 99 Matt was great, and that they're now, well, they basically just said they're washed up, did the hands. And Matt said that in 99 they were great, but now they are the greatest of all time. And that brought the great hands in the ring, demanding a tag team championship match. And Morella says, he makes the match. If the great hands win, they'll be first in line for the tag team championships. And that match, of course, happened right away. But it didn't go the great hands way. No, 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 no. It went the way of Matt and Jeff Hardy. The Swanton Bomb on John Skyler scores the victory for the Hardy Boys. Really good impromptu tag match on this. I've said this so long. I've been saying this probably since last year when they come back together. The Hardys look like they're just having so much fun in TNA, and it does really show in most of those matches that they're. I just feel like they're feeling it again. It's like they're 1999 again for Matt and Jeff. Um, I would like to think that they don't lose the championships anytime soon. I will, however, point out to those you watching now that when I do interview Leon Slater, I have something that I'm going to ask him that involves the tag team championships. So just make sure you check it out. I keep mentioning it, but just make sure you check the interview out. But Ryan Nemeth was mocking the Hardys backstage at this point, and he's confronted by Leon Slater, and it ended in a tussle, which the security people ended up to be breaking up. I have a feeling that Leon will be going against Ryan Nemeth very, very soon. If not next week on TNA, I will indeed let you know what is happening with that. I will check and make sure at the end that it's not on next week's show. It may well be. We'll find out in a minute. Now, Santino Marella did promise a big, big announcement, and he did not disappoint. But before that, Mace Warner and Steph DeLanda come out basically just getting a hold of each other, shall we say, calling themselves stars and champions, and the Digital Media Championship was there. Uh, as they make out, oh, this is why I love Santino Marella. They're making out on the stage, and Santino gets in between them, separates them. It is brilliant. But he made a point. He said, "Look, you can't inherit a title that you never won." And that he's taking back the Digital Media Championship, and they can no longer call themselves champions. However, he says at Unbreakable, April the 17th, so a couple of weeks' time, there will be a tournament, and that tournament will crown the first ever TNA International Championships. There you go. And those matches have been announced. I will get them up on the Tinterweb in a minute, and we'll talk about them in a bit more detail because some of those triple threat matches have been announced. I think the rules of those triple threat matches are no disqualification. That's going to be interesting for sure. Looking forward to that. And now, poor Derek. We go back to Derek, and we did say that this is probably going to end up badly for Derek, and Santana may have wished that he didn't get him a job there. And we did say that if anything was going to happen to Derek, it would be at the hands of Mustafa Ali and his goons and Goonette. Well, we were right. We were absolutely right. Backstage, the Great Hands and Tasha Steelz, they kidnapped Derek. They threw him into the back of a trunk of a car, and they take him to a meeting with Mustafa Ali, and he basically mocks the sobriety. He implies that he ruined his family's life because he was a drunk, he was an addict and a monster. Jeez, I mean, the segment was strong, man. I mean, for people that have been involved, I mean, you look at our interview on here with Fiona Locker, and that before she come onto the show permanently, she was celebrating her sobriety and how tough it actually is, and that is a very strong segment to watch, especially if you are recovering in that, and you are sober, and if you are recovering from sobriety, congratulations to you, and I hope you carry on. But it was a very strong segment to watch, very hard segment, really. Even myself, I'm not a drunk at all. I've never had a problem with alcohol, but yeah, it's a very difficult one to watch, and look, it is a storyline at the end of the day. But for those of you that are, look, if you are struggling, you know where to go. There is places, and you can go into these classes, and you will get help that you need. And I don't want to turn that into a big thing, but yeah, difficult watch for any. But Mustafa Ali continues to show just why he was so underrated elsewhere, and maybe in the death space in the WWE. He really was fantastic, brilliant. But the main event, and the women take center stage this week's Masha Slamovich, Zaya Brookside, Leia Ling Yi, yes, got it, Tessa Blanchard, JC Jane, and Jasmine Nix, and that was with Fallon Henry as well, of Fatal Influence. And a massive thing here, because the finish of this, Tessa Blanchard hit Masha Slamovich with the buzzsaw to score the pinfall victory. Tessa pins the knockout champion Masha Slamovich to end the show. Huge, huge victory for that. Well, for Tessa Blanchard. Now, following that, I do know that Tessa Blanchard does indeed get her shot at Masha Slamovich at Rebellion. My only question about it, is it too soon? I know there's literally nobody that wants Tessa Blanchard to win the championship. I'm not saying whether I do or not. I'll give you my prediction when we get nearer the time. But I don't know whether they're going about it too quickly. That's the thing. I mean, TNA last week, I was saying about the systems interference. And this week, I'm just not sure that it's the right time to do that match. The match is going to be great. The match is going to be awesome. No question about it. I just don't know whether they're rushed into it a little bit with Masha and Tessa. We will obviously wait and see. It could be absolutely wrong with that. And I hope that I am, to be quite frank with you. I hope that, it's a part of a longer term plan. But it was also great to see, and just going on this, JC Jane, Jasmine Nix, Fallon Henry, absolutely brilliant as well in this. It's, again, look what we said before, the NXT TNA partnership is working tremendously well, and we get to see people like that. JC, she's real. JC Jane, I think, is one of those underrated stars in NXT that perhaps doesn't get the opportunities that perhaps should present itself to her. But that's why it's so good that she can go to TNA and make a big impact, so to speak, on there. Brilliant. Loved it. Thought it was a fantastic 6-woman match. And testament to TNA for putting that on. The main event match, not the end segment. We're going to get to that in a minute. And my God, there is a shocking end to this. But we do get to go back to Derek again, backstage, who looks like he has fallen off the wagon. There we go. This is what we're saying. Santana comes to check on him, and he's pissed, obviously pissed off. And you can imagine why. Yeah, again, difficult segment. If you've been there, we've seen it before in W. They played on it in WWE. Do you remember back in the Attitude Era, Hulk from the Legion of Doom, and they had him fall off the fucking Tron, and then he unfortunately obviously passed away. Not from that fall, by the way, but demons that he had, and yeah, it's a difficult watch that. I'm not, by the way, I'm by no means saying TNA shouldn't air it. I'm just saying it's a difficult watch, and especially if you are recovering. Not, as I said, I'm sober, but I've never been and never had an alcohol problem. But I can imagine how people watch that and feel a bit uneasy. And it's good, great acting, brilliant from TNA to showcase it. It's good that they showcased it. But yeah, it still doesn't mean it's an easy watch. But hopefully Derek sorts himself out. Santana's going to be after revenge massively. Wouldn't want to be in Ali's shoes, that's for sure. But here we go. Now, we saw Kazarian in the early going pull off a victory against Elijah. Now he's calling his shot, but he didn't call it at Impact. Now, he said he's going to do it at Rebellion. I think, excuse me, to be honest, there was a mistake there. Joe Hendry was injured. He should have took advantage there and then and cashed it in on an injured Joe Hendry. You're giving Joe Hendry 2-3 weeks to recover, but he's cashing the shot in at Joe Hendry at Rebellion. But then the lights go out on the Impact Zone. And as the lights come back in, Ethan Page is in the Impact Zone, and he is also going after Joe Hendry at Rebellion. Ethan Page from NXT, AEW, NXT, now back in TNA, and he wants the TNA World's Heavyweight Championship. And that match is now a triple threat match for the World Heavyweight Championship at Rebellion, 27th of April on TNA Plus. Gonna be a hell of a show. I think this show got better as it went on this week. I really did. I thought it was great. I thought the build-up is there. We saw this continuation of so many feuds. The NXT involvement, the women, fantastic. Loved it. Really looking forward to seeing what's next. But I do need to now give you an idea of what is happening on TNA next week. And, of course, those triple threat matches that were announced for Unbreakable. Just bear with me. Uno momento while I dig that out. So just bear with me 1 second. What we're going to have next week on TNA Wrestling. Here we go. Next week on TNA Impact, Steve Macklin, Eddie Edwards one-on-one. Mustafa Ali, Ace Austin one-on-one. Cody Deaner, Moose one-on-one. Leon Slater, Ryan Nemeth one-on-one. The Rascals against JDC and Brian Myers, And in the first qualifier for the Unbreakable match, I think that's on next week, that will be Mance Warner, AJ Francis, and Sami Callihan. Wow. What an impact next week that is going to be. You can check that out on the TNA Plus app. Get it downloaded, get it subscribed, get that championship package, and watch TNA Wrestling. But I am just now going to check to see what is coming up on Unbreakable so that we know ahead of time. Just so that, as of right now, it is, there is no matches. It's waiting for the finals of those triple threat matches to be booked in. There'll be a lot more announced as we get closer and closer and closer to Unbreakable, 17th of April. Also on TNA Plus app, Rebellion, 27th of April, TNA Plus app. Get it downloaded, get subscribed, championship package, all of that stuff. And follow us, HTT Buckle on X, HTT Buckle on YouTube, Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast on all other social media outlets. The youngest in charge is right here very, very soon. You'll see him next week. Of course, you'll see me next week. I hope to see you next week. Until then, everybody, cross the line, stay safe, and good night.